Tutorial on nested symbols in Flash. Today we're going to create a bird icon just flying in the jungle using nested symbols. So that means symbols within symbols. So the metaphor that I like to use is just the Russian babushka doll concept. So you can have symbols within symbols within symbols with their own animation paths. So we're going to look how that works in just a moment. But to start off with, let's just have a look at what we can produce. So I'm just going to turn the visibility of these layers on. So we've got our timeline over here. I've got 3 layers, just an empty layer that I had the title of the video in, a jungle background layer, and then also the bird layer here. So flipping those visibility on and off, I can see what's on each layer. I've also labeled the layers as well so that you can see very clearly what is on each layer. And it's only one symbol per layer. It's very important to remember when animating. And so if we have a look at this layer, top one, it's blue, and that means that there's a motion tween inside it. So anytime there's a highlight in the layer, there's some sort of tween, whether it be a shape tween, a classic tween, or a motion tween, are the 3 tweens. So let's have a little preview of this movie. So if I go to Control, Test Movie, I'm just going to test it in Flash. Okay, we'll just have a tiny little animation of a bird just flying, and its little wings are flapping. So there's 2 animations going on here. There's the animation of the bird moving through the jungle, and there's the animation of the wings flapping back and forward just with a rotate function. So let's do that. So I'm just going to close this, and obviously it loops as well, so you could have it as a wallpaper, or if you had fish, you could have multiple fish or birds flying and having that as your wallpaper, which is really nice. Let's close that up and let's get started. So to make the bird, first of all, we need to get the image and this jungle image, and we're going to do that in Photoshop. So let's head over to Photoshop. Okay, and I'm going to import those images from my Finder. So I've already downloaded them. They're called Jungle and Vector Birds, and I've just labeled them under my documents, and I've just put them in a folder. So let's drag, first of all, the jungle image in. Okay, and then I'm just going to drag the bird symbol in as well. Image in, so they're both JPEGs. I'm just going to hit OK there. Again, my bird image didn't import properly. There we go, vector birds. Okay, and hit the tick to confirm. Now we want to cut out the bird from the white background, so we need to delete it. But it's a problem because it's a smart object. It's actually still referencing the file where it's been stored in that bird folder. So to make it so it's not a smart object anymore, we need to rasterize the layer. So rasterize means we need to make it editable and that the pixels will be able to play with. So a good way to tell if you can edit it or not is just using the eraser tool. And it's got a big no-no on there. So let's rasterize those layers. So it's just right-click or control-click on the white text and rasterize layer. The jungle one we don't need to edit, so we can just leave it there. And I'm just going to delete this background layer as well. So let's just delete layer. Excellent. So we just need the 2. And to cut out my bird, I need to select the vector birds layer first. Then I'm going to select the magic wand tool. So if it's stuck on quick selection tool, just click and hold till you get the magic wand. The tolerance I've got here is 32. So that's to do with actually how much white space gets selected. So if I change the tolerance to, say, 10, that didn't work either, but if I change it, say, to 120, you can see when you zoom in, it's actually cutting out bits here. But if I change the tolerance back down to 10, it's just the way that it selects the pixels is rather different. So you can see a lot more white space is still remaining on the image. So the tolerance that I had was 32, but you could always just change it. So that just gives us sort of the best wraparound there. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit delete. Just going to zoom out again. Looking good. And I'm going to grab my marquee tool, just the second one down. Click and hold and just delete these birds. Ooh, making sure that you don't cut off our bird's beak at all. So click and hold, delete those. And let's just zoom in so we get the white bits just where the legs are. And as you can see, when we zoom right in, you can see the individual pixels. So that means that it's a raster graphic or a bitmap. So let's get the magic wand tool. Okay, delete that, looking good. And then I'm just going to deselect it by hitting Command D. There we go. And so our bird is ready to be cut out now. We need to cut out the wings. We need to put them on separate layers. So to do that, I need to use the Polygon Lasso tool, which is the third one down. So it's the one that looks like cat ears, so that middle one there. Let's zoom in. So Command plus or Command minus to zoom in. And you just want to cut them really well too, because remember, when we import them into Flash, there we go. So double click just to close up that path. And then you want to control click or right click and go layer via cut, because we're going to cut out the wing from the body. So now let's rename that right wing. There we go. Select the vector bird's body again. Make sure you've got that layer selected. And now get the left wing out. There we go. Again, right click and layer via cut. Left wing. Excellent. And we've got our Photoshop file ready. So let's save that. So I'm going to save as, and I'm just going to save it as bird layers maybe. Okay, that just means that it's compatible with previous versions of Photoshop. That's a good thing to keep switched on. All right, and let's head over to Flash now. We'll create a new document. So we'll go File, New, and I'm just going to keep it at Action Script 2. Doesn't matter really about this. Frame rate 25 is probably good because that's what PAL version uses, and we're in Australia, so we use PAL version. So let's hit OK. Okay, and let's import those layers. So go File and Import to Stage. Excellent, and let's import those bird layers. So I had them in my documents, animation, Flash, bird, and I called it bird layers. So let's import that, press open, and then you can see all my layers are here nicely and neatly labeled. So you can, if you only want a few layers imported, you can select. We want them to be placed at the original position, and we also want to set the same stage size as a Photoshop canvas as well. So let's just tick that box there. And this section here you can just leave as it is. So let's hit OK. Very good. And so we've got our layers here. We have a look in the panel over here. We've got layer 1, jungle, vector bird's left wing. And there should be right wing, there it is. If we pull that down a bit, we can see. Now we don't need layer 1, so just click and hold, put it in the bin. Jungle layer, we want to lock that one, so we're going to hit the padlock over here. And then we've got a pencil with a strike through it. That means that we can't edit that layer at all. So if we click on that layer using the selection tool, nothing can happen. And then we're going to just check those layers have been imported properly. So vector birds, we're going to call that one just bird. And we're going to end up getting rid of these layers here in just a moment. Now to actually animate it, we need to convert these to symbols. So let's select the bird, just the body part, and right click, and you want to convert to symbol. And we're going to call it bird. Hit OK. Now we've got a light blue bounding box around it, so we know it's been converted to a symbol. And if we open up our library over here, we've got this little icon. That means it's a movie clip icon and that it is a bird. And you can see a preview here as well, so you can actually see up close. And now we want to convert the wings. So again, right click, convert to symbol, and call that right wing. And the reason why we're converting to symbols is that only symbols are the only things that can be animated. If it's not a symbol, you can't animate it. So let's label that one left wing, hit OK. All right, and then we want to go inside the symbol now because I want to put these wings inside with the bird so the wings stay with the bird as it animates. So this is what's called nesting. So let's double click to go inside the bird symbol. double click. And you can tell we're inside the symbol now because the background goes faded. And you can see here it says scene 1, bird. If we click back, okay, we go outside the symbol again to scene 1. Again, double click inside the symbol. Okay, and we can tell we're inside because you can see here the path. And if we had more symbols within symbols, they would keep being labeled here, and you could go in and in and in and in. So even if you want to animate individual eyelashes and bits of light and speckles, you can go right into detail there. It'll just take you quite a lot of time. Okay, so now we've got our bird body on there. I'm going to call this one the body. And then we want to make 2 layers, right wing, because we're going to put our right wing on that layer, and left wing, put that left wing on that layer. So we'll do that. So select the right wing layer, get our library out, the right wing symbol, and just drag that onto the canvas, onto the stage, I should say. And you can use the left and right arrow keys just to move it. And again, I'm just using the selection tool at the top here. The shortcut is V. And then the left wing, I'm going to select that layer, go to the library, get the left wing out. Okay, I'm just going to position that as well. And you can, of course, use Command plus or Command minus to zoom in just to get that lined up. Okay, and then I want my body to be on top because the wings are going to animate behind. All right, and then we need to put some frames in. So to put frames in, I just click and hold just on this empty frame at the top here. Click and hold, whoops, not like that. Click and hold, and then you've got, press FN, F5, or just F5 if you are not on a MacBook. Okay, and F5 allows you to insert those frames. So now we've got some frames to work with. Excellent. And then we, on the right wing and the left wing body wings, we're going to add a motion tween. Create motion tween. Create motion tween. Alrighty. The body layer we can lock because we're not going to do anything else to it. And then I'm going to zoom in on my right wing. I'm going to have it just sort of flap around a little bit. So select the right wing. Then I want to go to the third option down, which is the free transform tool. Click on that. And then here, this little white dot in the middle is called the anchor point. So this is where the point where the symbol actually rotates. So if we keep it in the middle, okay, the wing's not going to flap properly from the middle. So wings actually flap from the shoulder. So let's move this little point where the shoulder would be. Now watch where I rotate now. It rotates from the shoulder. Excellent. Okay, and then we want to start the wing flapping from this position here. I'm going to do the same with this left wing too. Move it right up to the shoulder. Okay, and it's best to be zoomed in to be doing this part. And can you see when I flap the wings now, it's actually behind the bird symbol, the bird body. That's why I moved the layers. So our wings can come right up. Okay, and that's our starting frame on frame 1. And maybe about frame 13, you can tell it's frame 13 because I've got the frame 13 just here on the timeline. I'm going to rotate it just so he flaps down a bit. Same with this one here. Whoops. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate it back up. So we've got one flap of the wings. Okay, and I only need to do one flap because it's actually going to loop. It's going to keep playing this over. It's actually going to keep playing it back and forward when we zoom out of the symbol. Because it's a movie clip symbol, it means that it's on a loop. So we'll have a look at that, how that works in a moment. So yeah, looking very nice, so we can test that. Very good. Okay, and it's just the right speed as well. That 25 frames a second is nice and smooth. So let's zoom out and make our bird finally go for a fly in the jungle. So let's go out of the symbol, go back to scene 1. And then we need to get rid of these 2 layers because we don't need those wings anymore. Put them in the bin. Okay, and at the moment our playhead is just set to 1 frame. So we need to add heaps more frames. And I'm going to say, let's make it go for 10 seconds. So if we got 25 frames a second, it's going to go right up to 250 frames. So I'm just going to highlight these two, and then FN F5. Okay. And it's inserted those frames for me, which is just great. Now the jungle layer, okay, I can just leave that locked because I'm not going to do anything to it. The bird layer, I'm going to move the bird. I'm going to select the move tool, selection tool. I'm going to move it outside the canvas because I want it to start just down here, and then I'm going to get it to fly up, come up for a bit, and then fly out this way. So this will be our starting keyframe. Okay, so let's get a motion tween in there. Hit right click, create motion tween. Again, it's highlighted blue. And I'm going to move it up to say frame 50, so that's 2 seconds in. So in 2 seconds, I want the bird to be here. Again, I'm going to go another 2 seconds. Okay, I want the bird maybe just to fly up a bit here. Another 2 seconds, say 150 frames. Or maybe want the bird just to fly down a little bit over here. Okay, up a bit too. And then finally at 250 frames, I'm going to let it fly out to the canvas. Whoops. Let's just pull it outside the canvas. And I'll just zoom in so you can see there's this orange line here with these dots through. Each of these dots represents one frame in the timeline. So here we go, that's our first frame. Okay. And I've just got an overview of the whole animation here. Now when I play it, it's going to be all zigzag because the path that we've set it on, the motion tween, is all just straight. We're going to bend these in just a moment. So let's have a little test of our animation. So let's go to Control, Test Movie. Okay. And it just goes on a straight path. We want to curve that just a little bit, and we can do that quite easily. So all we need to do is make sure we've got the selection tool on, and we just bend these. See, if we just go up close, we can actually bend these, which is really great. We can make our animation smoother and make it, there we go, even just smooth out some of those bumps there too. So have a play with the selection tool there. There we go, and let's just sort of smooth that out a bit. So if we play it again, great, so it's still sort of slowing down and that a bit, but it's a little bit more smoother. Excellent. And so that concludes my tutorial on the nested symbols and creating a wallpaper. So something that you could do is maybe get different images of birds and have maybe a whole little forest of birds in there. So when you do that, you need to create new layers. So you could have bird 2, bird 3. Okay, and using the same techniques, making sure that you've only got one symbol per layer. Okay, you can create your own little forest or your own little animated wallpaper. Okay, thanks for listening.